everyone, Carolina here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about how to deal with a common issue that many bilingual families have, and that is a child becoming a passive bilingual. I'm sure you've all heard this story. A child is exposed to two languages, they understand both perfectly well, and yet they only speak one of them. Why does it happen and how to prevent it? If you want to find out, keep watching this episode. Did you know you can subscribe to my channel? It's very easy. You need to be signed in and then press on that subscription button. This way you'll have a choice to be notified of any future content that I post, and also it helps me grow my channel, so I always appreciate people subscribing. And thank you so much to all of you who already have. Alright, let's get started. Even though you're raising your child bilingually, it might be that at one point they will only want to speak to you in the majority language. That is the language of the community that you live in. This usually happens either because the child doesn't have enough exposure to the minority language, or because they don't really feel that genuine need to speak it. Perhaps you're actually bilingual yourself, and your child knows very well that you can understand them when they speak in the majority language. So what can we do? Well, this depends a little bit on your child's age. So let's have a look at a few different situations, and also let's talk about how to prevent it from happening in the first place. If you have a baby or are expecting one, congratulations by the way, then you need to start as you mean to go on. So once you've picked your approach, whether it's one person, one language, minority language at home, or time and place, you stick to it, and you have to be very consistent from the very beginning. Your baby can already hear differences between languages, and very soon they will start associating a specific language with you. So make sure it's the one you've actually chosen. If your child is at an age where they're starting to produce a lot of speech, so probably around the age of 2 or 2.5, they might not yet have enough vocabulary in that minority language to communicate effectively. So they speak in the majority language because that's what they know. Their goal is to communicate. This is very natural, and it has happened to us as well. My son started nursery here in Poland around the age of 18 months. And I remember after a while, whenever I picked him up and we were on our way home, I'd ask some questions about his day in English and he'd reply me in Polish. So if that happens, what you need to do is you need to repeat everything your child is saying in the language you want them to speak. So I would ask my son things like, "What did you have for lunch today?" And he'd reply, "Zupa!" So I'd say, "Oh, you had some soup, did you? What soup did you have?" So see, I repeated what he said, and then I'd use that phrase or word again in a sentence or a question so that he would hear it again and again. Another thing that can help here is giving your toddler a lot of choices. Would you like the red cup or the blue cup? Shall we go to the zoo today or to the park? This way, it's much easier for your little one to answer you in the minority language because they've already heard the correct phrase, so they can simply repeat it. Finally, sing a lot of songs with your toddler. Songs are perfect for that because there's a lot of language there, a lot of vocabulary that your son or daughter will just naturally repeat and happily sing with you. So it's a great way for them to very easily expand that vocabulary in the minority language. And recorded songs are fine, but it's really much better if you sing them yourself. So try to look for those moments in the day when you can sing a song. You know, whether it's bath time, or you're driving somewhere, or you're out and about for a walk. Use that opportunity to sing together and perhaps make it into a little ritual so that you're both used to singing whenever it's bath time, for example. And you don't really have to teach your child the lyrics. You just need to sing it again and again and again, and they will pick it up. Just encourage them to sing with you and have some fun. If your child is already a little bit older, and they are actually getting quite fluent in their speech, but they're still mostly using the majority language, then you might have to devise a strategy and take it step by step. Because at this point, well, you're not going to be able to repeat everything your child is saying, as they might simply be saying too much. Step 1 will be to raise your child's own awareness of their bilingualism. Make sure they understand what a great gift it is. Be very positive about it. Talk to your child about how great it is that you get to speak this other language together. And perhaps it's the only language that the granny from France or Germany can understand. Make sure they understand it's something very positive, that not every child gets to speak 2 or 3 languages. Step 2 will be checking your own language use. Are you using the minority language in all the situations that you should? For example, if you're using the one person, one language method, do you remember to speak the minority language also when you're out and about? Let's say your languages are English and French, and you're living in the UK at the moment. When you go to a shop, you should of course be speaking English to the shop assistant, but still speak French to your child. The same when you go to the hairdressers, to the doctors, etc. Step 3 will be to pick a time of day when you'll make it a priority to speak the minority language together. So it should be a time of day when it can be just the 2 of you together, preferably doing something fun. It can be a time when you play games or cards or go for a walk or cook together if that's something you enjoy. And in that specific time, because it's so limited, you should try and use that technique we discussed before, which is repeating everything your child is saying in the language you want them to speak. And the key here is to try and make it sound natural. So you need to kind of make your repetition a part of the conversation. It's a little bit hard to explain, but I think you'll get the idea once you start doing it. And in this case, also steer the conversation in a way that it's easy for your child to use that minority language. For example, ask questions where there are a few different choices, where they can simply repeat the same phrase. And above all, keep it positive. Don't ever make a negative comment about your child's unwillingness to speak the minority language. That will only make them not want to speak it even more. And once that works, once you can see your child producing more of that minority language, then look for other times in the day when you could do the same thing, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes here or there. And sooner or later, your child will get used to the idea that this is the language you speak together. Another approach could be to turn that time of the day that you've chosen to prioritize the minority language into a language lesson. And this might not work for everybody, but it worked really well for us. At the beginning of this pandemic, our son actually started speaking a lot of English to his father, while the rule is that whenever they are together, just the 2 of them, they should be speaking French. So what we did was we explained to our son how, because we've chosen to live in Poland, he doesn't really get to go to a French preschool, and you know, what a shame. So Daddy would prepare these French lessons for him so that he could learn the same things as French children do. And you know, at first it was just 20 minutes or so, but it was that time where French was prioritized. So my husband made sure that they only used French and used all the techniques that we discussed. And then, once our son was used to these little lessons every day, we were able to expand it, and I suggested to my husband doing a longer French lesson at breakfast time. And that's worked super well, and now actually our son is addressing my husband in French on a regular basis. Okay, our episode today is coming to an end. Please let me know in the comments below if you found it helpful, and of course you can also press that like button, that's always very nice. If you have any general comments or questions or ideas for future episodes, do feel free to reach out. You can either post in the comments below or send me an email directly. My email address is available in the description of the channel. Thank you very much everyone, and see you in the next episode. Bye!